And welcome back to the daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books right here in the live studios in the Haven in the UK. And as people are saying good riddance to 2020, bringing in 2021, we're here welcoming 2021 just as we welcomed every day in 2020. Because we're lined up with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, hearing his wonderful biography written by Krishnadas Kaviraj Gosvāmī, Sri Caitanya-caritämrta, the perfect Shastra, as Srila Prabhupada said. So, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, we hope that you're all having a very nice New Year's Eve, or New Year's after New Year's Eve, and we hope that you're making the one and most meaningful New Year's resolution, and that is to always think about Krishna, always remember Krishna, and never forget Him. All the other rules and regulations fit very nicely into this one rule and regulation, and it will make our lives sublime. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he was also very attached to Sri Caitanya-caritämrta, and therefore he gave us this poetic glorification. He said, in due course, Maha Pralaya, devastating floods, will inundate the entire universe. If you attempt to survive by swimming in that deluge, then do not neglect to take hold of Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and Sri Caitanya-caritämrta. Or, if you cannot hold all three, then release Bhagavad Gita. If necessary, you may also relinquish Srimad Bhagavatam, but under no circumstances release your hold on Sri Caitanya-caritämrta. For if this one book remains, then the flood can do no actual damage, because after the flood has subsided, the message of Shastra can be revived from Sri Caitanya-caritämrta alone, it being the essence of all Shastra. Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda Jai Advaita Chandra Jaya Gauda Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gauda Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gauda Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna. So Sanātana Gosvāmī is coming back to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, or coming for the first time in Purī, but meeting Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for the second time. First time he met him in Prayag or Varanasi, and was enlightened by him for 20 straight days. And he gave him his full mercy, because he was so qualified. This is also always, obviously, the awakening of an eternal relationship. Anyway, when he came down to Purī, on the way he contacted a disease that caused itching sores all over his body. And they were so bad they were oozing sores. And so he was feeling very bad, and he had made a plan to commit suicide by jumping in front of the cart and in front of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That way he thinks he's going to reach the goal of life. So we got there to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and after some niceties and catching up on news and this and that, now Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is going to speak to Sanātana Gosvāmī. Hare Krishna. Antya-līlā chapter 4. Second meeting of Lord Chaitanya, Sanātana Gosvāmī with Lord Chaitanya. verse 65, Antya-līlā. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Sanātana Gosvāmī, give up your nonsensical desires, for they are unfavorable for getting shelter at the lotus feet of Krishna. Engage yourself in hearing and chanting. Then you will soon achieve the shelter of Krishna without a doubt. Shall I read that again? Oh, all right. Engage yourself in hearing and chanting. Then you will soon achieve the shelter of Krishna without a doubt. 66. A person born in a low family is not unfit for discharging devotional service to Lord Krishna, nor is one fit for devotional service simply because he is born in an aristocratic family of Brahmanas. Text 67. Anyone who takes to devotional service is exalted, whereas a non-devotee is always condemned and abominable. Therefore, in the discharge of devotional service to the Lord, there is no consideration of the status of one's family. 68. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is always favorable to the meek, to the humble. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is always favorable to the humble and meek. But aristocrats, learned scholars, and the wealthy are always proud of their positions. 69. One may be born in a Brahmana family and have all 12 Brahminical qualities, but if in spite of being thus qualified, he is not devoted to the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, who has a navel shaped like a lotus, he is not as good as a Chandala, who has dedicated his mind, words, activities, wealth, and life to the service of the Lord. Simply to take birth in a Brahmana family or to have Brahminical qualities is not sufficient. One must be a pure devotee of the Lord. Thus, if a Shwapacha or Chandala is a devotee, he delivers not only himself but his entire family as well. Whereas a Brahmana, who is not a devotee but simply has Brahminical qualifications, cannot even purify himself, what to speak of his family. Purport. This is a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 7:9-10. 70. Among the ways of executing devotional service, the 9 prescribed methods are the best. For these processes have great potency to deliver Krishna and ecstatic love for him. Purport. The 9 kinds of devotional service are mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam 7.5.23. Shravanam kirtanam Vishno smaranam padasevanam archanam bandhanam dasyam sakyam atma nivedanam. These nine are hearing, chanting, remembering Krishna, offering service to Krishna's lotus feet, offering worship in the temple, offering prayers, working as a servant, making friendship with Krishna, and unreservedly surrendering to Krishna. These 9 processes of devotional service can grant one Krishna an ecstatic love for him. In the beginning, one has to discharge devotional service according to the regulative principles, but gradually, as devotional service becomes one's life and soul, one achieves the most exalted position of ecstatic love for Krishna. Ultimately, Krishna is the goal of life. One need not have taken birth in an aristocratic Brahmana family to attain the lotus feet of Krishna, nor is a person born in a low family unfit for achieving Krishna's lotus feet. In Srimad Bhagavatam 3:37-7. Devahuti says to Kapiladev, Aho bhatta shwapacho togariyan yaj jivagre dvartate namatubhyam tupustapaste tepustupaste juhuvu sasnaraya ramanuchur namagrinantayete. O my Lord, even a person born in a low family of dog-eaters is glorious if he always chants the holy name of the Lord. Such a person has already performed all types of austerities, penances, and Vedic sacrifices, has already bathed in the sacred rivers, and has also studied all the Vedic literature. Thus he has become an exalted personality. Similarly, Kunti Devi says to Lord Krishna, Janmaishvarya Shutashribir Edamana Madak Puman Naivar Hat Yabidatum Vai Twam Makinchana Gochara. A person who is proud of his birth, opulence, knowledge, and beauty cannot achieve your lotus feet. You are available only to the meek and humble, not to the proud. Bhagavatam 1.8.26. (71) Of the 9 processes of devotional service, the most important is to always chant the holy name of the Lord. If one does so, avoiding the 10 kinds of offenses, one very easily obtains the most valuable love of Godhead. Purport. Srila Jiva Goswami gives the following directions in his Bhakti Sandarbha 270. I'll skip the Sanskrit. It's a long prose passage. Chanting, the translation is, chanting the holy name is the chief means of attaining love of Godhead. This chanting or devotional service does not depend on any paraphernalia, nor on one's having taken birth in a good family. By humility and meekness, one attracts the attention of Krishna. That is the verdict of all the Vedas. Therefore, if one becomes very humble and meek, one can easily attain the lotus feet of Krishna in this age of Kali. That is the fulfillment of all great sacrifices, penances, and austerities. Because when one achieves ecstatic love of Godhead, he attains the complete perfection of life. Therefore, whatever one does in executing devotional service must be accompanied by the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. The chanting of the holy name of Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, has been praised by Srila Rupa Gosvāmī in his Namastaka, verse 1. Nikila Shruti Mauli Ratnamala Juttini Rajita Pada Pankajanta Ayi Muktukular Upasyamanam Paritas Tvam Harinama Sangshayami. O Harinam, the tips of the toes of your lotus feet are constantly being worshipped by the glowing radiance emanating from the string of gems known as the Upanishads, the crown jewels of all the Vedas. You are eternally adored by liberated souls such as Narada and Shukadev. O Harinama, I take complete shelter of you. Similarly, Srila Sanātana Gosvāmī has praised the chanting of the holy name as follows in his Brihad Bhagavatamrita 119. Jayati Jayati Namananda Rupam Muraler Vidajita Nija Dharma Vidamita Nija Dharma Jana Pujadi Yatnam Katamapi Sakridatam Muktidam Praninam Yat Paramamamritam Mekam Jivanam Bhushanam Me. All glories All glories to the all-blissful holy name of Sri Krishna, which causes the devotee to give up all conventional religious duties, meditation, and worship. When somehow or other, uttered even once by a living entity, the holy name awards him liberation. The holy name of Krishna is the highest nectar. It is my very life and my only treasure. In Srimad Bhagavatam 2.1.11, Shukadeva Goswāmī says, Etan nirvidyamananam ichchatam akato bhayam yoginam nripanirnanam nirnitam harer namona kirtanam. O King, constant chanting of the holy name of the Lord after the ways of the great authorities is the doubtless and fearless way of success for all, including those who are free from all material desires, those who are desirous of all material enjoyment, and those who are self-satisfied by dint of transcendental knowledge. In Srimad Bhagavatam 6.3.22, Yamaraj says, Etavan evalokesmin pungsang dharma padaksmritaha bhakti yogo bhagavati tannama grahanadibihi. Devotional service, beginning with the chanting of the holy name of the Lord, is the ultimate religious principle for the living entity in human society. Similarly, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said in his Shikshastaka 3, Trinadapi sunichena turodapi sihishduna amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. Regarding the 10 offenses in chanting the holy name, one may refer to Antya-līlā, chapter 8, verse 24. Text 72. After hearing this, Sanātana Gosvāmī was exceedingly astonished. He could understand, my decision to commit suicide has not been greatly appreciated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. 73. Sanātana Gosvāmī concluded, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who knows everything, past, present, and future, has forbidden me to commit suicide. He then fell down, touching the lotus feet of the Lord, and spoke to him as follows. 74. My Lord, you are the omniscient, merciful, independent, supreme Lord. Exactly like an instrument of wood, I dance as you make me do so. 75. I am low-born. Indeed, I am the lowest. I am condemned, for I have all the characteristics of a sinful man. If you keep me alive, what will be the profit? Hare Krishna. 76. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, your body is my property. You have already surrendered unto me. Therefore, you no longer have any claim to your body. 77. Why should you want to destroy another's property? Can't you consider what is right and wrong? 78. Your body is my principal instrument for executing many necessary functions. By your body I shall carry out many tasks. 79. You shall have to ascertain the basic principles of a devotee: devotional service, love of Godhead, Vaishnava duties, and Vaishnava characteristics. 80. You will also have to explain Krishna's devotional service, establish centers for cultivation of love of Krishna, excavate lost places of pilgrimage, and teach people how to adopt the renounced order. Mathura Vrindavan is my own very dear abode. I want to do many things there to preach Krishna consciousness. Purport. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to accomplish many purposes through the exegetical endeavors of Srila Sanātana Gosvāmī. I'll read that again. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to accomplish many purposes through the exegetical endeavors of Srila Sanātana Gosvāmī. First, Sanātana Gosvāmī compiled the book called Brihad Bhagavatamrita to teach people how to become devotees, execute devotional service, and attain love of Krishna. Second, he compiled the Hari Bhakti Vilas, wherein he collected authoritative scriptural injunctions regarding how a Vaishnava should behave. Only by the endeavors of Sri Sanātana Gosvāmī were all the lost places of pilgrimage in the Vrindavan area excavated. He established Madan Mohan, the first deity in the Vrindavan area, and by his personal behavior, he taught how one should act in the renounced order, completely devoted to the service of the Lord. By his personal example, he taught people how to stay in Vrindavan to execute devotional service. The principal mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was to preach Krishna consciousness. Mathura and Vrindavan are the abodes of Lord Krishna. Therefore, these places are very dear to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he wanted to develop their glories through Sanātana Gosvāmī. 82. By the order of my mother, I am sitting here in Jagannath Purī. Therefore, I cannot go to Mathura Vrindavan to teach people how to live there according to religious principles. Text 83. I have to do all this work through your body, but you want to give it up. How can I tolerate this? 84. At that time, Sanātana Gosvāmī said to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. No one can understand the deep ideas you plan within your heart. 85. A wooden doll chants and dances according to the direction of a magician, but does not know how he is dancing and singing. 86. My dear Lord, as you cause one to dance, he dances accordingly. But how he dances and who is causing him to dance, he does not know. 87. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then said to Haridas Thakur, My dear Haridas, please hear me. This gentleman wants to destroy another's property. 88. One who is entrusted with another's property does not distribute it or use it for his own purposes. Therefore tell him not to do such an unlawful thing. 89. Haridas Thakur replied, We are falsely proud of our capabilities. Actually, we cannot understand your deep intentions. 90. Unless you inform us, we cannot understand what your purpose is or what you want to do through whom. 91. My dear sir, since you, a great personality, have accepted Sanātana Gosvāmī, he is greatly fortunate. No one can be as fortunate as he. 92. Thus, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraced both Haridas Thakur and Sanātana Gosvāmī, and then got up and left to perform his noon duties. 93. My dear Sanātana, Haridas Thakur said, embracing him, no one can find the limits of your good fortune. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has accepted your body as his own property. Therefore, no one can equal you in good fortune. 95. What Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu cannot do with his personal body, he wants to do through you, and he wants to do it in Mathura. 96. Whatever the Supreme Personality of Godhead wants us to do will successfully be accomplished. This is your great fortune. That is my mature opinion. 97. I can understand from the words of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that he wants you to write books about the conclusive decision of devotional service and about the regulative principles ascertained from the revealed scriptures. Text 98. My body could not be used in the service of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Therefore, although it took birth in the land of India, this body has been useless. Purport. For a further explanation of the importance of Bharat Bhumi, one may refer to Antya-līlā 9:41 and also Srimad Bhagavatam 5:19 through 27. The special feature of a birth in India is that a person born in India becomes automatically God conscious. In every part of India, and especially in the holy places of pilgrimage, even an ordinary uneducated man is inclined toward Krishna consciousness as soon as he sees a Krishna conscious person, and as soon as he sees a Krishna conscious person, he offers obeisances. India has many sacred rivers, such as the Ganges, Yamuna, Narmada, Kaveri, and Krishna. And simply by bathing in these rivers, people are liberated and become Krishna conscious. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore says, Bharata bhumite hoila manusya janma jar, janma sartaka kari kada para upakar. One who was taken birth in the land of Bharata Bhumi, India, should take full advantage of his birth. He should become completely well versed in the knowledge of the Vedas and spiritual culture, and should distribute the experience of Krishna consciousness all over the world. People all over the world are madly engaging in sense gratification, and in this way spoiling their human lives, with the risk that in the next life they may become animals or less. Human society should be saved from such a risky civilization and the danger of animalism by awakening to God consciousness, Krishna consciousness. The Krishna consciousness movement has been started for this purpose. Therefore, unbiased men of the highest echelon should study the principles of the Krishna consciousness movement and fully cooperate with this movement to save human society. Text 99. Sanātana Gosvāmī replied, O Haridas Thakur, who is equal to you? You are one of the associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Therefore, you are the most fortunate. The mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, for which he has descended as an incarnation, is to spread the importance of chanting the holy name of the Lord. Now, instead of personally doing so, he is spreading it through you. 101. My dear sir, you are chanting the holy name 300,000 times daily and informing everyone of the importance of such chanting. 102. Some behave very well, but do not preach the cult of Krishna consciousness, whereas others preach but do not behave properly. 103. You simultaneously perform both duties in relation to the holy name by your personal behavior and by your preaching. Therefore you are the spiritual master of the entire world, for you are the most advanced devotee in the world. Purport. Sanātana Gosvāmī clearly defines herein the bona fide spiritual master of the world. The qualifications expressed in this connection are that one must act according to the scriptural injunctions and at the same time preach. One who does so is a bona fide spiritual master. Haridas Thakur was the ideal spiritual master because he regularly chanted on his beads a prescribed number of times. Indeed, he was chanting the holy name of the Lord 300,000 times a day. Similarly, the members of the Krishna consciousness movement chant a minimum of 16 rounds a day, which can be done without difficulty. And at the same time, they must preach the cult of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu according to the gospel of Bhagavad Gita as it is. One who does so is quite fit to become a spiritual master of the entire world. So let's do the math for a second. 19 rounds a day. This is 108 mantras. 16, are you figuring it out? 16 times 108. No, 108 times 16 times 16.
27,648.
27,648. So that's the number of rounds per day that is assigned to the members of the Krishna consciousness movement, at least the initiated members. And Haridas Thakur chanted 300,000 times a day. That's more than 10 times what we chant. And still he was preaching. Yeah, it's actually 333,000 exactly. Text 104. In this way, the two of them passed their time discussing subjects concerning Krishna. Thus they enjoyed life together. Text 105. During the time of Rath Yatra, all the devotees arrived from Bengal to visit the car festival as they had done previously. 106. During the Rath Yatra festival, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again danced before the car of Jagannātha. When Sanātana Gosvāmī saw this, his mind was astonished. 107. The Lord's devotees from Bengal stayed at Jagannath Purī during the 4 months of the rainy season, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu introduced Sanātana Gosvāmī to them all. 108 to 110. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu introduced Sanātana Gosvāmī to these and other selected devotees: Advaita Acharya, Nityananda Prabhu, Srivas Thakur, Vakreshwar Pandit, Vasudev Datta, Murari Gupta, Raghava Pandit, Damodar Pandit, Paramananda Puri, Brahmananda Bharati, Sarup Damodar, Gadadhar Pandit, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Ramananda Roy, Jagadananda Pandit, Shankar Pandit, Kashishwar, and Govinda. Text 111. The Lord asked Sanātana Gosvāmī to offer obeisances to all the devotees in a way that befitted each one. Thus he introduced Sanātana Gosvāmī to them all, just to make them an object of their mercy. 112. Sanātana Gosvāmī was dear to everyone because of his exalted qualities and learning. Suitably, therefore, they bestowed upon him mercy, friendship, and honor. Text 113. When all the other devotees returned to Bengal after the Rath Yatra festival, Sanātana Gosvāmī stayed under the care of the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Text 114. Sanātana Gosvāmī observed the Dola Yatra ceremony with Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In this way, his pleasure increased in the company of the Lord. 115. Sanātana Gosvāmī had come to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Jagannath Purī during the month of April-May, and during the month of May-June, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tested him. 116. In that month of May-June, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to the garden of Yameshwar, Lord Shiva, and accepted prasadam there at the request of the devotees. 117. At noon, when it was time for lunch, the Lord called for Sanātana Gosvāmī, whose happiness increased because of the call. 118. At noon, the sand on the beach was as hot as fire, but Sanātana Gosvāmī came by that path. 119. Overwhelmed by joy at being called by the Lord, Sanātana Gosvāmī did not feel that his feet were burning in the hot sand. 120. Although the soles of his feet were blistered because of the heat, he nevertheless went to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There he found that the Lord, having taken his lunch, was resting. 121. Govinda gave Sanātana Gosvāmī the plate with the remnants of Lord Chaitanya's food. After taking the prasadam, Sanātana Gosvāmī approached Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When the Lord inquired, "By which path have you come?" Sanātana Gosvāmī replied, I have come on the path along the beach. Text 123. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, How did you come along the beach where the sand is so hot? Why didn't you come by the path in front of the Singadwara gate? It is very cool. Purport. Singadwara refers to the main gate on the eastern side of the Jagannātha temple. Text 124. The hot sand must have blistered your soles. Now you cannot walk. How did you tolerate it? 125. Sanātana Gosvāmī replied, I did not feel much pain, nor did I know that there were blisters because of the heat. I have no right to pass by the Singadwara, for the servants of Jagannātha are always coming and going there. 29. The servants are always coming and going without interval. If I touch them, I shall be ruined. Purport. Herein it is very clearly indicated that priests performing deity worship should be careful to keep themselves completely pure and not be touched by outsiders. Sanātana Gosvāmī and Haridas Thakur, thinking themselves mlechas and yavanas because of their past association with Muslims, did not enter the temple or even travel on the path in front of the temple gate. It is customary for the priests of temples in India not even to touch outsiders or enter the deity room after having been touched. This is a very important item in temple worship. Text 128. Having heard all these details, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, greatly pleased, spoke as follows. 129 and 130. My dear Sanātana, although you are the deliverer of the entire universe, and although even the demigods and great saints are purified by touching you, it is the characteristic of a devotee to observe and protect the Vaishnava etiquette. Maintenance of the Vaishnava etiquette is the ornament of a devotee. 131. If one transgresses the laws of etiquette, people make fun of him, and thus he is vanquished in both this world and the next. 132. By observing the etiquette, you have satisfied my mind. Who else but you could show this example? 133. After saying this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraced Sanatana Gosvāmī, and the moisture oozing from the itching sores on Sanatana's body smeared the body of the Lord. 134. Although Sanatana Gosvāmī repeatedly forbade Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to embrace him, the Lord still did so. Thus his body was smeared with the moisture from Sanatana's body, and Sanatana became greatly distressed. 135. Thus both servant and master departed for their respective homes. The next day, Jagannātha Pandit went to meet Sanatana Gosvāmī. When Jagannātha Pandit and Sanatana Gosvāmī sat together and began to discuss topics about Krishna, Sanatana Gosvāmī submitted to Jagannātha Pandit the cause of his distress. Text 137. I came here to diminish my unhappiness by seeing Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but the Lord did not allow me to execute what was in my mind. 138. Although I forbid him to do so, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu nevertheless embraces me, and therefore his body becomes smeared with the discharges from my itching sores. 139. In this way I am committing offenses at his lotus feet, and from these offenses I shall certainly not be delivered. At the same time, I cannot see Lord Jagannātha. This is my great unhappiness. 140. I came here for my benefit, but now I see that I am getting just the opposite. I do not know, nor can I ascertain how there will be benefit for me. 141. Jagannātha Pandit said, the most suitable place for you to reside is Vrindavan. After seeing the Rath Yatra festival, you can return there. 142. The Lord has already ordered both of your brothers to situate yourself in Vrindavan. There you will achieve all happiness. Your purpose in coming here has been fulfilled, for you have seen the lotus feet of the Lord. Therefore, after seeing Lord Jagannātha in the Rath Yatra car, you can leave. 144. Sanatana Gosvāmī replied, you have given me very good advice. I shall certainly go there, for that is the place the Lord is given me for my residence. Purport. The words Prabhu Datta Desh are very significant. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's devotional cult teaches one not to sit down in one place, but to spread the devotional cult all over the world. The Lord dispatched Sanatana Gosvāmī and Rupa Gosvāmī to Vrindavan to excavate and renovate the holy places, and from there establish the cult of bhakti. Therefore Vrindavan was given to Sanatana Gosvāmī and Rupa Gosvāmī as their place of residence. Similarly, Everyone in the line of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's devotional cult should accept the words of the spiritual master and thus spread the Krishna consciousness movement. They should go everywhere, to all parts of the world, accepting those places as their Prabhu Dadadesh, the places of residence given to the spiritual master, or Lord Krishna. The spiritual master is the representative of Lord Krishna. Therefore, one who has carried out the orders of the spiritual master is understood to have carried out the orders of Krishna, or Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to spread the cult, bhakti cult, all over the world. Pritiviti achayata nagaradigram. Therefore, devotees in the line of Krishna consciousness must go to different parts of the world and preach as ordered by the spiritual master. That will satisfy Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. After talking in this way, Sanātana Gosvāmī and Jagannātha Pandit returned to their respective duties. The next day, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to see Haridas and Sanātana. So I'm stopping here. It's a little after 8 o'clock. And all is well. Hare Krishna. If anyone has any reflections or comments or discussion, please be our guest. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
First is something from Daityari Haridas.
Daityari Haribol.
He says, Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for another ecstatic reading. I was just wondering, in relation to the statement we hear quite often, and heard again tonight, about a Chandala who's a devotee being superior to a non-devotee Brahmana. Are we to understand that anyone, regardless of how degraded they are, can receive the Bhakti-lata Bij? Also, if someone has Brahminical qualities but doesn't become a devotee, in spite of coming in contact with them, is it to be understood to be a result of offenses?
The answer is, in one word, yes. The soul is not the body. The soul is identifying with the body. So whether one is in an exalted Brahminical situation by birth or otherwise, or if one is in a very low condition, such as a Chandala, which is a dog eater, the soul is still there, pure, inside. And by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, anyone who actually surrenders to his instructions removes the conditions gradually, the conditioning of thinking that he's the body, thinking he's either a Brahmana or a dog eater or whatever. And he thinks himself as only as a devotee of the Lord, a servant of the Lord. So whatever one's position, if he's thinking he's a servant of the Lord and nothing more, then he is a Vaishnava. He may be a highly learned Brahmana and think like that, and he's a Vaishnava. He may be a dog eater and think like that, he's a Vaishnava. And the Brahman who doesn't think like that is degraded. He's in the mode of goodness, and he has, qualities, but they are still going to get him another birth. He's still going to get another birth. The mode of goodness also has to be given up. Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nishtraigunya Bhavarjana. The modes of nature, the Vedas, mainly discuss the modes of material nature. And therefore one should rise above the modes of material nature and identify himself with the soul and his eternal constitutional position as a servant of Krishna. So yes, if a person is a highly elevated Brahmana and meets a Vaishnava and doesn't become a Vaishnava, it is from misfortune. Maybe from offenses, maybe from some other reason, but it's from misfortune. And if a person is a Chandala and comes in contact with a pure devotee and surrenders at his lotus feet, then he becomes fortunate, Mahabhagya, and becomes a Vaishnava, which is beyond the Brahminical platform. Hare Krishna.
Next is a comment and a question from Bhakta Ben.
Hey Bhakta Ben, Hare Krishna.
He says, please make me a wooden doll dancing in the hands of Srila Prabhupada. His question, what's the secret to becoming the best possible conduit for Prabhupada's and Lord Chaitanya's mercy?
Stay blissful at all costs. So that's an answer by Radhanath Maharaj, actually, to the question asked by Vaisheshika Prabhu, my best friend. He asked him, what is the secret of his success? And he said, stay blissful at any cost, at all costs. No matter what the situation is, no matter what's happening around you, stay blissful. And you cannot do that unless you're remembering Krishna. Always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. Then you will be successful, no matter what your so-called condition or position. Hare Krishna.
Next is something from Stefano. He says, one becomes a devotee only by the mercy of Krishna, or because he has performed all type of austerities?
You cannot become a devotee of Krishna. Hand me that book. The little one, yeah. There's only one way you can attain that situation. That verse, which explains this, is given in the Mundaka Upanishad, quoted often by Srila Prabhupada. Nayam Atma Prabhachanena Labhyo Namedasa Na Bahuna Shutena Yam Evaisha Vinute Tena Labhyas Tasyaisha Atma Vivinute Tandum Swam. The Supreme Lord is not obtained by expert explanations, by vast intelligence, or even by much hearing. He is obtained only by one whom he himself chooses. To such a person, he manifests his own form. So, you can hear in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 12, verses 13 through 20, the characteristics of a person who has pleased Krishna very, very much. What the characteristics are of a person who is performing pure devotional service. Only pure devotional service can satisfy Krishna. And only a person who is performing pure devotional service is eligible to come in contact with Krishna. Because pure devotional service attracts Krishna. It's coming from the mercy of Lord Chaitanya that we can perform pure devotional service, but it's the pure devotional service that is attracting Krishna. Hare Krishna. And what is pure devotional service? Anyabhilashita shunyan jnanakarma janavritam anukulina krishnanu shivanam bhaktir uchate shilanam bhaktir uchate. This is the description given by Rupa Gosvāmī of pure devotional service. And it isn't talking about any kind of activity. It isn't mentioning hearing, chanting, remembering, praying, serving, all those things, giving up everything. They are all the processes of pure devotional service. But Rupa Gosvāmī defines it in terms of consciousness. The one who has given up fruitive activity, in other words, one is not attached at all to the fruits of to the results of his activity, and one who has given up the tendency to speculate about what is God or about what is the truth. And if he does that and acts in devotional service for the pleasure of Krishna only, for no other reason, then he is performing pure devotional service. Service that is favorable to the Lord. You may be a person's great friend, but if you start acting in a way that he doesn't like, the friendship is very soon soured. Hare Krishna.
Next is something from Rati Manjari.
Haribol Rati.
She says, Dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. Tonight I loved hearing the various verses of glorification of the holy name. Also we heard how Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not want Srila Sanātana Gosvāmī to commit suicide, even though he was diseased, because the Lord had many important services to accomplish through the body of Sanātana Gosvāmī. I found that endearing and significant. And I also noted how Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tested Srila Sanātana Gosvāmī severely in different ways. For example, by allowing the Goswami to stay diseased for quite a while, even though the Lord could have easily cured his disease. Would you like to comment on why Lord Chaitanya would have allowed the disease of Srila Sanātana Gosvāmī to go on? Was it to show the humility and tolerance of his devotee, or...
The motives of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are unfathomable. They're deep as the ocean, and no one can understand those things. No one can understand unless you're Rupa and Sanātana Goswamis. So I hesitate to comment and act as if I know, what the... See, that's too much, isn't it? Yeah, it's hard to open. Yeah, I can't open it. Sometimes I try and I can't do it. I'm an old man. So, obviously, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come to teach the world. So whatever he does is not understandable, by to set some kind of example or this or that. But at the same time, it is to teach the world and to execute his will, his mission. So it's kind of indicated by the text itself that, and Lord Chaitanya answered himself, that he had things he wanted to do in Vrindavan, and he couldn't go there because of the vow he had made to his mother. So he wanted to do that through Sanātana Gosvāmī. So he tested Sanātana Gosvāmī, and then empowered him to do all those things. And at the same time, he had to test him. He had to show him. He had to make him, convince him very strongly. So all of those things, and probably many, many more, are in the minds of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I can't understand the mind of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Anybody who thinks they can should think again, because, if Sanātana Gosvāmī can't understand, if Supa Damodar can't understand, Ramananda Roy and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, and even Lord Nityananda, he can't understand, but he says he can't understand for our benefit. So, and all these people, Brahma, Lord Brahma himself, let them think that they understand you. For me, he studied all the Vedas 3 times and he still couldn't understand. And it goes to the same verse I just quoted. Atmanayam Atma Yayatma. What is that? What is that verse? I just chanted it. Pravachanena labhya. Inatma pravachanena labhya. Only one who Lord chooses. So Sanātana Gosvāmī was chosen by Lord Chaitanya. Yes, he could have cured the disease right away, but he wanted to show. He wanted to bring Sanātana Gosvāmī closer to him. He wanted to inspire him on levels that, are not ordinary. Empower him to do things that are not ordinary. Imagine you've been to Vrindavan. Imagine going to Vrindavan before there were any temples, and it was just, when you travel from one place to another, and you see where there's no people and there's no things going on, and the whole Vrindavan was like that. And then just to go there by yourself and reinstate all the places, just by living within one tree after another, and showing the world. Of course, Lord Chaitanya did go there and reveal where Radha Kund and Shama Kund was, so there was a reference point that he gave. Anyway, that's all I know I can even begin to say about that. There's much more to it, but who am I to say anything about that? Hare Krishna.
Next was something from Vrajaloka Devi Dasi.
Hare Krishna Vrajaloka.
She says, Hare Krishna, dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to you and your daily readings. I feel so grateful, for I have the opportunity to start the new year with hearing Srila Prabhupada's books in the elevated company of you and the Vaishnavas. Thank you for creating this saintly Sangha. There were so many beautiful parts of this reading. For me, it was so touching to associate with the surrendered, loving, and caring mood of the devotees, and also with their humbleness. Could you please elaborate on the statement of verse 96, What does it mean exactly? Quote, whatever the Supreme Personality of Godhead wants from us to accomplish, we will do it successfully. Thank you so much, Hare Krishna. Your servant.
Well, this is the symptom of a surrendered soul. Symptom of a surrendered soul is that he wants to do whatever the Lord wants him to do. And so the Lord shows the devotee what he wants him to do in various ways, according to the individual devotee. Could you read the quote again?
Whatever the Supreme Personality of Godhead wants from us to accomplish, we will do it successfully.
Yeah. So first of all, we have to find out what the Lord wants, to be able to know what he wants, so that we can do it successfully. We can't do it successfully without his blessings, without his will, but we have to find out. So these loving pastimes of the Lord, in the ways that these pastimes unfold, the Lord is showing his intimate devotees what he wants them to do. And as we noticed in Rupa Goswami's and Sanātana Goswami's, especially them, they knew what was in the mind of the Lord. Just from a few words, they would know what he wanted and what his will was. So therefore, it means, as Sri Damodar said, that he must have given his full mercy to them. So all these things that happened that appear to be reversals and all these things are just Lord Chaitanya's way to show how exalted a devotee is, what the capacity of the devotee has to tolerate difficulties and still maintain a pure devotional attitude and a desire to do what the Lord wants him to do. And the Lord reveals what he wants him to do in different ways. That's the principle. Hare Krishna.
Something more from Rati Manjari. She says, thank you very much, Guru Maharaj. As blind as I am, I do appreciate your devotional mood. Also, if you do not mind, I would humbly like to ask you a personal question. I have read that one of these days would be the anniversary of your sannyasa initiation, either today or on January 7th. Would you care to tell us which day it was that you have made this great sacrifice?
1st January 1979. So you can do the math. So 41 years? No. 41. 42 years. 41.
The Manjari says Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Congratulations, dear Guru Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, thank you.
And Brajloka
I'm
says,
just a beginner. I'm just aspiring.
our blessed good fortune, for sure.
I'm just trying to be the peon and deliver the mail from Prabhupada.
And Brajaloka says, thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. And thank you very much. And I hope you all have successful spiritual advancement in this year, 2021. You may advance in spiritual life and help spread Krishna consciousness as much as possible according to your capacity and your desire. Sri Krishna Caitanya-caritämrta, Sri Caitanya-caritämrta ki jai. Samaveta Bhaktavinda ki jai. Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. See you tomorrow night, the second day of the new year, right here in the live studios of the Haven. Same place, same time, same topic. Pure devotional service. Hare Krishna.